I'd like to call this meeting to the Boothbay Selectmen to order. First on the agenda, as always, is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So first on the agenda is public hearings. The only one we have on the agenda for tonight is the White Anchor Inn. Chad Mostats, I apologize if I get that wrong, owner, map R06009, located at 609 Wiscasset Road, Boothbay, Maine, for the renewal of innkeeper's license. Dan?
Everything here is as is. This is a typical renewal. All taxes are paid, and they've been good citizens so far.
Beautiful.
How come, it seems like it's late? Most of the innkeepers come early, they're just...
It's cyclical, so it's just when they must have opened it. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Motion to approve.
Second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor? So moved. Brings us to our first public comment. Any takers? Okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from June 22nd, 2016.
So moved.
Second it.
Any discussion or corrections? All those in favor? So moved. Dan, reports.
Yep. Public Works has been busy with tree cutting. We're cutting the trees back from the roads right now, mowing, and next week they'll begin the process of pavement prep. So Mike will be back. He was on vacation this week. But if you've gone by Butler Road and back there, as you've seen the areas that they've already flagged off and spray painted. So I think we'll be up and running within the next 2 weeks for sure.
Okay.
Code enforcement has been extremely busy. They processed 17 building permits, 10 plumbing permits, 4 subsurface wastewater, 2 sign permits, 5 shoreland, 1 demo, and 1 use permit. Also, it's worth noting that they're working with the planning board right now to enact the ordinance revision for the comp plan.
Yep.
And with that, I did reach out to Mark Ironman just to work as a consultant to get the process started. I know we haven't hired him officially, but it was worth bringing him in to help the board. So that process has begun. Business office, I'm glad to welcome Lynn Maloney as our new town clerk. She comes with great experience. She's got a great attitude. We're really lucky to have her. She comes over from Newcastle. She has over 22 years of experience as a clerk.
Beautiful.
So we really hit that one out of the park, I think. Also, I've reached out and talked to our peer reviewer, and this is in regard to the Route 27 corridor proposal, and he will have a report ready for the July 27th meeting. So,
For our next meeting,
yeah, it's probably worth discussing.
whether or not we're going to have it here or at the YMCA.
Correct.
Gotta be the Y.
Yeah, I'd have to agree.
Yeah, me too. You want to reach out to Andy?
It's worth noting that he was possibly going to be tied up the 27th. He is going to issue his report. He will have a synopsis made up for the board. However, there is a possibility that he is going to be tied up. So
Is he free any night that week?
I think we could get him actually the sandwich nights. So it would be the 28th or the 26th.
I mean, it'd be silly to bring it to the public without him there.
It really, I mean, we can't sit there with his report and not be able to answer anything.
Mm-hmm.
So either we got to get commitment from him, or we've got to alter our schedule.
As of right now, he is committed on that date, on the 27th.
So can you finalize that before we go to the paper and say?
I can. I can, if at the board's discretion, I could try to change the meeting to either the 26th or the 28th, depending on what is most feasible for him.
Well, if he's committed to the 27th, then we don't need to move.
Right.
Right.
But I mean-
No, ours is the 27th.
Right.
Right, but you just said as of right now, he's committed to the
No.
20.
to another town.
Oh, okay.
No, yeah, his only commitment is to another town.
So, yeah, I would think at this point in time, and I don't have any preference whether it's the 26th or the 28th.
I mean, worst case, what is our August meeting date? I mean, if you gotta, he's gotta be there, which would be the 10th, would be our first one in August. What does that do?
That pushes us
So-
off.
Yeah, what does that do to our timeline?
Just so the board is aware, I would push for us to have something prepared for a warrant by mid-September at the latest, because we have a referendum vote. We have to get the ballots in 45 days ahead. That really pushes our schedule up.
Plus, we have our public hearings.
And we
that
have to have public hearings.
Right,
and-
I'm still saying that we will adjust our schedule around his.
Yeah.
I think it's important enough to,
I'd rather do the 26th than the 28th.
I was gonna say the 26th would work better for me.
26th would be preferable.
If you can't do the 27th.
Okay.
I just don't know what that does. I mean, traditionally, the Y is open for Wednesday nights. I don't know about Tuesday nights.
right.
And I mean, I'll find all that information. Andy's been very, very good about moving things around for us in the past, and I think he said he would do as much the last time we were at the YMCA.
But as far as wording for a warrant, I mean, that's pretty cut and dried. I mean, we know what we want to ask. It's up to the Sally to draft
Yep.
what we want to ask and put it on paper. So, I mean, I don't see that taking long to do.
No.
I don't think I can stress enough at this point in time, if we're gonna move our meeting night, and we're gonna have the peer reviewer there, and that's the reason we're moving, advertisement is critical on this. I don't want anybody to think we're shuffling our
Yes.
meetings around to dodge.
No, I think
Turnout.
we will have the greatest dissemination possible. In fact, we have Channel 7 here, and we would probably put an ad on Channel 7 or possibly a banner, if that was feasible. We can easily get it in the paper for a couple of weeks. Now, I can have a sign made up for the common, and obviously plaster our doors, our website.
You gotta lock him in. And wherever you lock him in, the very next phone call should be to the register or somebody and start getting the advertising process
Do that.
started. Okay. We agree?
Yep.
Any more in reports?
No, that is it.
All right, brings us to old business, which seems to be absent of anything, so, new business, request from the BRC TV for funding for the informational piece on the roundabout.
Hey,
Hi, how are you?
good to see you guys.
Good to see you.
I'm Ryan Layton, I'm from Boothbay Region TV. Beside me is Cody Mitchell, and we both do work for the channel.
Very nice work, by the way.
Thank you. And we are here tonight because we were looking into the possibility of getting some public funding to produce a video about the Route 27 project, the roundabout project that's going to be on the ballot in November. The idea is that we want this to be an informational piece. We want this to be strictly almost like an accessory or tool for you guys to say, if you're going to be voting on this issue, this is what you need to know about this video. We're not trying to get into an opinion war. We want it to be strictly factual, and we want it to be what it is. As you know, we've been there right with you. We've seen you in the town office. There's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of heated debate, and we thought that it would be a good public, something good for the public to have this piece out there that clearly illustrates what's on the ballot and what can come out of this. And the idea is to produce a 6 to 8 minute production that boils down what's happening out there and basically concisely illustrates what benefit this can have to the public.
If it's coming from us or funded from us, can't stress enough that it has to be completely impartial. Can't be swayed one way or the other. I mean, I think it's a great idea, I do, but we cannot use public funds to push or be against anything.
Exactly. And the idea is that we wanted to seek public funding because if it's coming from the public sector, I think people are much more trustful of that. The other, if, let's say this was a privately invested thing, people say, well, who's paying for that, you know? So if it's coming from, not only the town, but from, from the public funds, but from, local access channel, I think a lot of people will receive that in a very unbiased light. That's the reason why we wanted to seek, public funding for this. As far as the timetable goes, we're looking to do a lot of research and field work and do a lot of filming and feature various testimonials from well-known public figures in town. Everyone I've talked to, Police Chief Hosh. We want certain public figures that can speak on this subject based on what they know alone. Facts. For Police Chief Hosh would be public safety. Right. It's not I think this is great. I think this project's great. My name is Steve Lewis and I endorse this project. It's not one of those. It's not one of those type of videos. It's a strictly factual piece. Now, with that being said, there's also a lot of misinformation around there that we do want to debunk. Certain things like, the golf course is funding MDOT. He's got money in this. Where in fact that traffic plan's been around since 2003. Right. So simple things like that. Other things like where people say, oh, there's no problem out there on the traffic run by. Well, we've been recording. We've been not secretly. That sounds. We've been setting up cameras around the monument, and we all know that there's a problem that's out there. Not only is the backup of traffic on Quarry Lane, where the car comes out and deliberately blocks the other car from coming in, but no one actually comes to a complete stop.
Right.
And then on certain craft fairs, farmers markets and stuff, the limited walkability out there. There's all these other there's all these kind of aspects that have been around the town for all these years, such as the walkability projects that have been talked about. So it's really a video that emphasizes kind of the public good in this project with not being biased. And I understand that there is a fine line between there. But if it's a publicly funded project, it really seeks to just focus on the facts alone. And that's basically what we're trying to get at.
I think that's what we've been trying to get at now for months, and appreciate you coming forward with this offer. But you do realize that there will be some out there that's going to say that you're in our pocket now, like we're told that we're in everybody else's pocket.
Right. We're not looking to change opinion here. We really just want to be as informational as possible. People have their opinions, and you're not going to change it, right? But if you make a good effort to have that information out there, I think people will appreciate that.
How much you talking, Ryan?
Yeah.
Okay, this is the fun part. So when it comes down to the actual work involved, media is expensive to make a higher-end professional production. I don't know if you guys saw we did a regional promotional video.
Very
a couple
nice.
weeks, a couple months ago. It's that caliber of production, and it's going out, doing the research, doing the field work, getting the footage, talking to all the right people, and really getting the data on traffic flow and what roundabouts really do. When we put a value to it, we look at kind of the industry standard as media goes, and we saw $6,375. And so when we look to try to get that publicly funded, we're asking the selectmen to publicly fund it, partially, however you see that with the contingency fund. And if you want to know how that breaks down, how that price breaks down, I can further explain that.
I'm just thinking, 6,300 to take a big chunk out of our contingency fund, because the contingency fund for the year is only 10,000, and we just hit the new fiscal year.
Right.
It's a large chunk of our contingency.
I agree. We can't do $6,000.
No, I don't see so either. As much as I'd love to.
Keeping in mind, we do have, personally, I would rather see it whatever we do come out of our selectmen's account instead of the contingency. I mean, that's what the selectmen's account's for, correct? What we put 25,000 in.
No, the contingency fund is for things like this that come up during the year. that's the limited fund that we have, that we can fund special projects. And it's only $10,000 that we have to spend throughout the year.
How much do we ever, on average, spend, do we know?
I think last year, if I remember correctly, we ended up with about 3,000 left. One of the ones that did come off was the trolley. That had been a 2-year drain on the Selectmen's Reserve. So that won't be on there this year. That's beneficial, but you never know what's going to come up to that point.
So I have to ask the obvious, why is the cost when we already pay I mean, I think John said 20,000, I won't hold him to that, he's out in the other room, but, why the added cost?
Yep, and that's a good question. A lot, that money, the money that the towns pay us goes towards our equipment purchase and to pay John's salary. John is the only paid employee with BRCTV. Cody and I are volunteers. So we do work, I mean, the only time we will make money is if we do like a private, project for someone where they pay us. But that money funds the community events and such. For an actual project of this caliber, that's where that money would go into not only the labor to make it, but the research, the field work, and the data storage, the equipment, the post-production, the editorial, and then the revisions. There's quite a lot that goes into something like this. And based on other type of media, the industry standard is like $1,000 for a minute of edited content.
Yep.
And so that's the number that came out of it. So am I missing anything else as far as?
Really, the research is the biggest part usually.
Yeah, it's looking at other roundabouts. It's delving into the data of MDOT. It's really going out there every day and getting as much footage as we can.
Okay.
So.
And the time invested is huge. You look at the 6-minute projects and you have no idea the amount of actual time that goes into that project. If you look at the chamber video alone, I'd be cutting it short if I said there was any less than 200 or 300 hours in that.
Yep.
Tom's on our board of directors, by the way.
Okay. Mr. Otley?
Yes, my question is that there obviously will be a script for our filming, at least a plan.
There's a structure of what we want to feature. Yes.
So then you'll go out and you'll gather footage,
Yes.
and then you'll attempt to align that to your structure, and then tweak it. Will the selectmen get, at that early stage, an opportunity to look at the tenor of that in terms of?
If they're funding this project, we would like them to see this and say, if the town is funding this project, we'd like them to see that and say, okay, they have the power to revise with us.
Will there be a chance for an independent person to look at that and say, it looks fair, it looks like what the film was proposed to be? I think there's a heavy-handed on something, and because if the town's gonna pay for this, it can't come out, like you said, a pro or con. I think it needs to present the issue.
Correct.
The only trouble I think that about the draft and that.
Well, but if you designate someone as
The unbiased, impartial.
correct,
Would that be the selectmen?
well, it could be one of the selectmen who would say, looks fine to me, or I think you're too light on this, or you've overproduced this, and so we're gonna get negative feedback.
During the editorial process, it's very common for us to take someone and say, anyone kind of average Joe and say, okay, this is what we're putting out there, what are your thoughts?
You're right.
And in addition, we would want the opinion from the selectmen as well, who represent the town.
That would be the stipulation I would want, is us to be able to see it before it gets aired. Just because my biggest concern is, one way or the other, it's biased. And we can't come across as it being biased one way or the other.
But I'll be telling you right now, the fearful part of that side of me is the moment we say we want something changed, they're gonna say that we just biased it. Just by saying, if I say I think it sways one way or the other, or I think you need to, they're gonna say, well, the selectmen just changed the whole content of that, and in some ways, I'd rather say that we have to put our faith in Ryan and BRC TV, that they're gonna produce something that is neutral, that is informative and not swayed one way or the other. Because, I'm sorry, if we have a chance to go at it and edit it and tweak it, well, then we just waited it. Whether or not we did or not, it's not the point. It's not that that's not what I'd wanna do, but that's how it's all about perception.
We definitely value your opinion, and part of our production is we do decide what our final cut is going to be.
So when it's done,
Yeah.
when you get done with your,
I would like to have first dibs at looking at it
Right, bring it to
necessarily,
one of our
but I don't
meetings.
wanna be able to change it.
right,
This isn't like a roller coaster.
maybe you
We
bring
pay
it to
for it,
one of
we're gonna see it first.
bring it to one of our selectmen's meetings and
And we could put it.
play it right there.
Right,
Yeah,
absolutely.
therefore, you can even have people,
Yep.
members of the public.
Everybody sees it at the same time.
Correct.
We
Ryan,
just get first dibs.
when will you have a final figure?
Final figure, or when it's gonna be done?
No, final figure,
I think he
for
has.
production.
For production?
You said 63,
$6,375.
Okay. here's what I'm thinking. I think this is a great project. I think you guys would do a hell of a job to get the truth out there and show the people what the facts are. I think that we fully fund it from the contingency fund. And then in November, have another question on the ballot asking that the monies that we've spent on this video be replenished from the TIF fund. Because it's economic development.
It really is.
Yeah, right.
It passes the straight face test as far as I'm concerned. And the voters get to choose really. If not, we've just taken a big chunk of our contingency fund and we don't get it back if they vote it down.
Yeah, right.
I find the likelihood of that pretty slim, but still a possibility.
There's always that chance.
Right.
It's a gamble.
It is,
I think that works. I think it's a worthwhile venture.
yeah.
I mean, no offense to your compadres. I mean, we know your work from covering our meetings and stuff, and I have a lot of faith in you. I'm
Well,
not saying that these guys don't know what they're doing, but
By any stretch of the
I know his
imagination,
work
I'm not-
from watching his videos.
Yeah, I'm not even, I lump Ryan just because he's a familiar face here, but what I see BRC TV produce lately is just been, it's show-stopping as far as I'm concerned. It's been amazing stuff, so
Thank you, and we value the voice of the town, we want to be a voice of the town, we would like to have a message that is well received in the community, and I think it's good to go local because we know you guys.
And honestly, we need, the town needs us. It's just, I'm not saying that me as a selectman or the town of Boothbay or town of Boothbay Harbor South, but every time I sit down anywhere and have a conversation, the misinformation that is just launched out there is,
Yeah, right.
it's
So-
disheartening.
I'll make the motion to fund the BRC TV, I guess that's correct, for 63
375.
to come out of our contingency fund with the stipulation that we'll ask the voters in November to replenish it with the TIF fund.
Do I hear a second?
Yes.
I think that's a good idea, Chuck.
I do too.
Yeah.
Come on, Chuck, it was his idea. Papers were being passed around, but it absolutely passes the straight face test. Any further discussion?
No.
All right, the job is yours.
Nope, we gotta vote.
You gotta vote, yeah.
Well, all those in favor? Okay, the job is yours.
So when do you hope to have it done?
Looking at mid to late August.
Okay.
Should have asked that question before you.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, if you said December.
November 20th.
Yeah,
Thank you, guys.
We look forward to seeing it.
Appreciate it.
okay. Thank you.
All right, next on new business, we have appoint Lynn Maloney for the town clerk's position.
So move. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Congratulations.
What does that do to, we had appointed Tracy as the town clerk before.
She is the new appointee, Lynn is now, so Tracy is now basically stepping down.
Okay.
Yep, correct.
One more thing I just want to ask on the new business, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Planning board. Can we set up meetings?
Yes.
For the ones we have only
Yeah.
because they're down to 3?
That's a good point. We have two that came in. I did have 3 that came across on the website, but I think I might have mentioned it. They come across and they were unreadable completely. So we sent that back to Virtual Town Hall Streams, and it turns out it was just spam. I was very excited for no reason. But we do have 2 members, and I would like to schedule that as soon as possible. We have the potential for a third, but I haven't gotten the papers back. So, to that point, what would be a good time for the select?
Before our next meeting? You know, maybe 5:30, 6 o'clock?
We need to do it. Does he need it sooner than that, or?
No, because they don't have another meeting.
Their meetings in regard to the ordinance revision are going to be, I don't want to get this wrong. I think it's the first Thursday of each month. That's when they're going to meet.
And they're down to 3 because we lost,
Rosemary Barrett.
Yep.
she's moved, so
Yep.
they gotta have at least 2. I mean,
Okay, no, it's fine.
and can you make sure you ask Alan to be here?
I've already reached out to Alan. The board had already expressed interest in having him, and he's very interested in being a part of it if that's what you want.
Good. That brings us to our second public comment. Oh. Mr. Utley's hand went up first. Floor is yours.
First of all, I'm confused, so is Tracy the town clerk or not?
She was basically the interim town clerk until we had a I think it was 2 weeks where Bonnie had left and we didn't have we couldn't have the replacement, so we needed to have a clerk available. So.
She must have thought that congratulations card that I gave her was kind of odd. Didn't clarify that it was only good for 2 weeks. These are just some observations, and I think the observations you've heard before, but they need to be repeated because I think it reinforces the projects for improvement, the need for improvement. First of all, people have a really difficult time finding their way to the botanical gardens. I live down on Back River, and I'm often in the garden, and people will pull up in my driveway and ask how to get there, because they're going to the end of Back River. They get down there, they don't see anything, and on the way back, they see me in the yard, and they ask me. So I just don't think they're doing a very efficient job of advertising where they are, and I know there's some limits about signage, that they're on that board with everybody else, but...
Right. Yeah, and actually, Tim, to that point, it's a state road, so we have to go through the state for their signage. And also, just so you know, that is one of the things that the Joint Economic Development Committee is working on right now. They're working on a winter event, and then the next phase of planning for the JEDC is wayfinding. And so we're actually, I think we just secured a grant to contract out to at least do a preliminary plan for wayfinding, and it's regional wayfinding. We have some buy-in from Southport at this point, and it looks like Edgecombe is now possibly going to be on board. So we're looking at it holistically. We're looking at it. We've got a lot of good heads in the room, and we've already started to reach out to some of the towns that have just finished wayfinding, just to kind of figure out what the scope is in relation to what we're doing, but the reason is that's exactly why. We recognize we haven't done a very good job, and we aren't going to be doing a very good job if Boothbay does its own thing, Boothbay Harbor does its own thing, Edgecombe, Southport. If we all work comprehensively, we're going to be very successful. And I think we have a pretty good plan in process.
Well, especially on those special events,
Mm-hmm.
I think they need to use some of their personnel and post them up here with
Yeah. There've been a lot of suggestions, and we're looking into, for instance, the winter event. One of the ideas that came up was having the logistics or the trick here, maybe having a string of lights, green lights that goes to the botanical garden, a string of white lights that goes to Boothbay Harbor, and obviously you're here when you hit the common. But if you want to go to Boothbay Harbor because you know that you're staying in one of the inns, follow the white lights. If you want to go to the botanical gardens, follow the green lights. We have a lot of different ideas out there, but first we've got to get wayfinding in line, and then we can really start to fine-tune the process.
I'm often out here between 7 and 8 in the morning, which I guess is is rush hour for Boothbay. And it's really amazing how many commercial and residents, and I guess people coming from down the peninsula, are flying around this curve. I mean, the speed limit between here and Boothbay Harbor is 45, and then it drops down, I believe, to 30 or 35. And then coming this way, it's 35. But even 35 is too fast for coming around that curve. And I don't know how mechanically you slow that down unless you use speed bumps or something. I think we're getting to the point where we need a police officer, or we need some kind of physical presence of somebody with some authority that really kind of slows this down, because speed is the enemy here. Speed's what's creating all this issue. I don't think it's the amount of traffic. I don't think it's people necessarily turning left and right. It's just people are coming too fast, and you can't get out. You know, you can't slow down to get off the road.
And again, yeah, in that regard, that's out of our hands.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's a state road. We can request like Lincoln County to come down and police it, and they might post somebody down here for a few days,
It'll
which
be
will
a
slow
limited
people
service.
down
They had
for a
that-
few days.
They had their sign out there telling you was going too fast and speed was being monitored up by the fire station. Was it 2 weekends ago?
Yep.
Does Boothbay Harbor police officers have authority on the stretch of 27?
Not in the town
Only
of
if they
Boothbay.
were in pursuit of someone that was leaving.
Or requested for
Yeah.
mutual aid.
Yeah.
Right. My next item is that I understand this is not necessarily fact. It's that for the farmer market, that vendor, the guy who organizes that, is charging those people $400 a season. Okay, so let's see, 10 times 400 would be how much? Seems like a lot of money being generated. So we questioned the antique market, and was that a for-profit event? Seems like that the farmers market is definitely a for-profit event. Somebody's making profit off spaces that they're
Honestly, it's the first I'd heard that they charge. I assumed any,
I believe it goes to the market group, the $400, for instance. I mean, they operate in a similar manner. So when I went and had a meeting with their board, which is basically all of them, that's how their board works. They talked about the initiative. I explained that the select board thought that we needed to look into some of the issues that arise in terms of safety, and that possibly a crossing guard, or we would have to think about moving the venue. We had a long discussion, they all had input, and essentially they had a vote. That's how they operate, but that was how they decided to take the money to get crossing guards, and that'll be during the thickest part of the season. We will see crossing guards out here.
Dan,
But I can look into this too.
with traffic going north on this
Yes.
corner,
Yep.
I've had a number of folks tell me that they can't see around the corner because of how the events are coming this far. We need to get them to slide that way.
Push in.
Yeah, so that there is visibility around that
They're
corner.
parking, well, not parking, but they're pulling their vehicles in on the grass. And it's creating,
And those vehicles on the grass are causing compaction of the soil.
absolutely.
And if we view that alley of trees as part of the beauty and aesthetics of that park, if we lose those as a result of that, well, I mean, you're getting quite an ugly little spot. So my point is, bringing that to your attention, I think the Clifford Park site is a far superior site to have the farmer's market. I know the feeling of being on the commons with the gazebo, and I know that feeling. I'm there on Thursdays. But when you look at the safety, you look at the fact that people could bring their kids, they could be on playground equipment, there's ample parking, you don't have to worry so much about the soil because it's not surrounded in trees. I think in the future you should consider asking them to move to that spot. I just think it would eliminate one whole set of problems once a week. In terms of safety and the use. And then the last thing I'd like to say is I'd like to thank the town if they had anything to do with the debris cleanup on Back River Road between the 200 and 300 block of Back River Road. There has been chronically recycling materials, abandoned cars, boats, all kinds of debris right at the gutter line, right at the edge of the street. And then recently, it was all cleaned up, and now a truck's appeared with smashed windshield full of junk. And I just, I think it's neighborly, it's not what we should be doing, especially that close to the road. If you've got some property and you can push it back, I know that's kind of what's kind of done, but when it's so visual, and I can't believe that the other neighbors haven't said something about it, but I'm talking about it in a proactive way that I see an improvement made, and I hope it stays that way. Anyway, thank you for listening.
Thank you. Bill?
Do you all support the proposed roundabout proposal?
I guess you'd have to ask us that as an individual basis. As a tax, I've said it many, I've said
The
it
one that
many,
is currently before us?
Yes.
I do.
Yeah, I think you keep the traffic moving better.
I do. I've said it publicly many times.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is it all as selectmen or as citizens or both?
Citizen.
We're citizens. I mean, we represent the people, but we are
When I
we're a
cast
voter.
when I cast my vote, I'm gonna vote in support of it.
Yeah.
If it gets shot down, I represent the town of Boothbay, and we move forward from that point in time on.
When the video is done, what's the purpose of viewing it before it's aired on video?
That's why I just said, I personally don't want
Are you
to.
gonna do it?
We're gonna air it right here, in our meeting, publicly.
Right.
Okay, and who's gonna own the video? Is it gonna be the cable or the town?
Who's gonna what?
Who's
Own
gonna
it.
own?
So it's a
I
legitimate
would say
question.
they have proprietary rights.
Yeah, I would think so too. We're basically contracting them in a sense, but we didn't, it's funny, they came to us and proposed. I don't know how that works, Bill.
Okay, and basically, it's just, it's a video on safety of roundabouts in general.
No.
It's a video on what is being proposed for this project in the town common.
All facts. No sway one way or the other.
How is this different than what the DOT consultant presented at past meetings?
I'm not sure if it isn't different per se, but hopefully it's gonna be portrayed in a sense that there's a lot of people out there that think that DOT was completely swayed by Paul Colomb, and Paul Colomb will have absolutely nothing to do with this video whatsoever.
It's really no different than the peer review that we've hired. I mean, we've hired a peer review person to do the same thing that Paul Colomb hired someone to do because people felt that this guy was he was on the payroll, so he might slant the stats. So we got an independent person to look at this stuff, and we're gonna have that for the 27th. It's really the same thing. It's taking out that question of,
How much did the peer review, $1,500?
Yeah, 1,500, right?
just takes out that layer of, or adds to the trust, if you will. I don't know how else to word it.
One more layer of,
Absolutely.
Transparency. I mean, I pushed it and pushed it and pushed it for years. We try to be as transparent as possible and constantly being accused of doing everything behind closed doors and behind people's backs.
Contrary to what some people believe, we are acting on, me personally, I mean, I'm acting on what I believe to be the best interest of the town.
I'm just asking.
No, I get it. I just want to publicly say that. In the end, like Dale said, the townspeople will vote
Yeah, right.
in November, and whichever way they vote is the way we move forward. It's as simple as that.
And again, there's a lot of pushes why we did it in November. It's gonna be the biggest turnout. It's a presidential election. There'll be the most voters. We'll know definitively whether people like this roundabout or not.
Is the negotiation with the DOT for the BPI, is that over or is that still ongoing?
I
Well,
believe.
now
We're
it's,
reviewing now,
Who's reviewing
the DOT.
that? Okay, so the negotiations are over and you just submitted to the DOT.
There really is no
There are no
negotiation.
negotiations.
all we really did was try to, we basically just put a placeholder in and they're waiting to see if the vote goes
I
through or
thought
not.
he was talking to.
Now, you sign an agreement with them,
I thought he was talking to them as well. but-
trying to get the
No,
wording
The
probably.
DOT, essentially, it's a financial agreement with the DOT.
It's cut and dry.
Yeah, it's not the process is really kind of laid out by the DOT with their expectations. And then you put together a proposal based on that, and you try to frame it as best you can to meet the criteria that they're looking for. So we submitted it, they're reviewing it, and it is, as Dale said, it's essentially a placeholder so that if the election, if it goes through in November and just say the town voted in favor of, the money is there on the DOT side, because there are other municipalities, towns and cities that are looking to get these BPIs. So essentially, if we're at the top of the list and we didn't apply and we waited, and then say, for instance, Westbrook came in, that's one of the cities that's looking to apply for this, we would have a vote in November for nothing. So,
When was this submitted to the DOT?
last week, I had to get together with the engineer. So, yeah, and it's not a long process, it's just, again, if it'll get kicked back if it didn't have
If it's
any of the
approved at
criteria.
DOT, would the selectmen then determine whether or not to go on the ballot? Or is it-
No, the BPI doesn't go to the ballot.
Okay.
That's just an agreement that if it gets approved in November, we have a free
Think of it
$1 million.
as a financial
Is
concept.
it already on the ballot in November?
What? The BPI?
No,
The roundabout?
the roundabout, yeah.
We haven't even got the question worded yet.
But you're talking about being on the ballot.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
It'll be there, Bill.
It'll be
It'll
there,
definitely be on the ballot.
but we can't tell you exactly what the question's gonna say because we haven't got it
Okay, no, I'm
drafted
just-
yet.
I'm clear.
Yeah,
Well, that's it, thank you.
I mean, I think it's pretty obvious. I mean, I don't think we've ever said any different, that question will be on the ballot
Yeah.
to the town.
But it would be premature if you didn't have the peer review come in and then also have the BPI go through. You would want to have both those in place before you framed a warrant.
Okay,
You good?
I'm good, thank you.
Any other public comment? Okay. I will entertain a motion to review the warrants and sign them.
So moved.
Second it,
All those in favor?
Motion to adjourn.
second it.
All those in favor?